I think today's topic is for mindfulness. Thank you for mindfulness. So anyway, let's start. Um, um, get more frustrated in summary. So what's going wrong? What's happening? I remember one of my friend, and she thought, and she did the whole education, and she got in the top position in the company. She thought, that's it. And so we as a human being, sometimes I feel this period of time, maybe we have like a distracted period as a bigger period, like we have so much, and obviously so much materialistic, and then on top of that, our attention is so much pulled around kind of material. Basically, it just kind of really deep down doesn't give you answer. It's just kind of like a temporary. So everything's very temporary. Okay, you want something, okay, here's something, which is so much temporary. Okay. So I think to have a kind of meaningful life, beneficial life, right? Education is becomes very important. And education is two things. Education as a conditioning, as a education so forth, such and such a thing. Transactional education, in other words, IPPC, and education as growth, I think. So, so teach this, the full mindfulness is, I think, some kind of like uh, mandatory education from the Buddha's curriculum. Basic education, like full mindfulness is kind of mandatory. That's and full mindfulness. When you're looking over here, I think so much Buddha's way of educating humanity and education purpose of education is to kind of grow, and through the inner growth, somehow so-called happiness or so-called freedom or so-called pure land, kind of comes through that. So therefore, this Buddha's education model, I don't know what's saying, for the truth is the education model. How you educate the heart. And we are talking about, I think, the Four Noble Truth, how the teaching of Four Noble Truth becomes education heart. That's, I think, is the main question. How we define such an education becomes education heart, or education with just kind of a mind, intellectual. I think uh, from my point of view, the what you call the curriculum, the Four Noble Truth curriculum, this curriculum, so much resultant oriented. I mean, this Four Noble Truth curriculum is what's happening now. Challenge. The curriculum is so much designed to introducing deeper nature of ourselves. And that's, I think, what means educating the heart. When we just educate just kind of like a general, kind of introducing the general surface reality, the surface issues. Okay, early time we closed the car window by turning, and now we just push. Early time we push the button. Now we just I miss that. So I think it's so much like a surface solution, education or awareness, or energy is becomes the surface solution. So that becomes another. So education in the heart is not about solution. Solution. What means solution? Solution is like, you know, solution is resolved. Solutions.
Problem solved.
Problems, solutions. Solution. What can be more than solution? There's some problem, then you have some solution for the problem, or you can really heal or take it out.
Versus outcome.
Yeah, solutions becomes more temporary. What you think? Solutions becomes more temporary. Solution. I give you this solution, that solution, this solution. So Four Noble Truth is not necessarily, it is kind of a design, and that awareness can come to not through solution driven. It's not solution driven. Okay, we have a solution for this and all these things. So education of the Noble Truth is basically introducing the deeper nature, not so much about the solution. But it's because all the awareness and the educations can gear towards to the solution of the problem of humanity, solution of the problem. It's a solution. We just kind of like a bandit here, and it's like much more like our energy is so much, even so-called like green energy and many different environmental. One way you come taking care of one problem, but then you like another problem. It's just like a solution driven, or introducing the nature and discovering driven. So that's, I think that, so basically Four Noble Truth teaching and for mindfulness, kind of like the prerequisite for education of the heart. So I'm just saying like a teaching of Buddha Four Noble Truth as a like an educational model, and something that certainly Buddha had this revolution in some ways. So let's look at it as an educational model, and let's look at it in this kind of like educational model, how that educates our own self as an individual, and what is really pushing us, something that maybe some we are hesitated to look at, or we have never known such a concept exists. This is a pushing something to something that it is an education model. It's not so much about avoiding solution for people. It is maybe it's kind of like take you to that place, take you to the push for that place, to see it, feel it, discover it, and then get the wisdom and how to transform. So therefore, like for example, it's kind of like if we look at it like what is the relation this practice for mindfulness? Like to ask this question, it's just kind of like a one kind of set of a practice, or ways evolving coming from, and what is the background of this kind of things. And And what is it really trying to introduce? What is really looking for transformation, not liberation, but like just what is really trying to as learning goal, learning goal. When we study, then we have this. What is really trying to? What is really trying to get out from that format? Okay, and maybe also important for us is like what our expectations are and what. So I think these areas is maybe sometimes maybe our expectation and the teaching itself may meet together, and that's great. Sometimes there's a surprise. Oh, I thought this was a change of this, but actually, so uh, like for me, surprise was I thought initially it is so much about the training of mindset, mindfulness, for mindfulness, so training, some kind of like practice, something that key. Now maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But lately I was thinking, what's it looks like? It's not kind of like a shine, like we just kind of concentrate and then we kind of make it. Um, I felt like a more educational than meditation. That two separate. Something that, like for example, mindfulness of the body. Like just take this example. The first mindfulness, the mindful body. And our body, how we respond with our body. This is so much complex. Uh, at the same time, this our own karmic body, and we want to take care, and we want to nurture. Uh, I think, like for example, mindfulness of the body is to educate for our own self some kind of like a balance perspective about our nature of our own body. That's like a fundamental before we do anything, before we kind of want to do all the part, the primordial, fundamental nature of the body itself, being that aware, then basically we will waste less energy into relating. So I think this is a kind of um, like a how we perceive what it is, where we go, like a mindfulness of the way we perceive what it is and how we live with, how we kind of make it. Still, basically, uh, how we relating with our own self, with our own body, our own physical perception. First is the really important perceptions of the present, perception of the past, perceptions of the future, how we want to see. And also, it's important to look at its nature of the body itself. Maybe your perceptions and reality can be different. And where the loss of energy and the resource are wasted between these things, your perceptions and create unnecessary challenge. So it is like a tool. So mindful. So here, what I'm saying is, it is the nature of education is, I feel like for mindfulness, it's something. Science of your own self. Anyway, doesn't mean whatever I'm trying to comparison to today's world. Because my education is in a whole different style, whole different model. But anyway, that's I think maybe for example in mindfulness meditation, particularly mindfulness, is educational, experiential, and observation, lots of surprise. How I view and how society view and what it is. There's some kind of like different, some contradicts, so like an expectation, perception, and reality. So really the education is a comparative comparison, mindfulness is basically comparison of karmic habits, society habit, individual habit, perceptions, and the reality. So, so basically, mindfulness of the body, meditator or practitioners, so basically kind of becoming like scientists, collecting the data of mainly data about what is reality and data of your own perception and habit, what you project. And use like a whole different, and then the surprise. Anyway, so what I'm saying over here is so introducing the nature. And when you say introducing the, for example, introducing the nature of the body, and now when it comes from the full mindfulness perspective, uh, from my point of view, there's a like a surface nature, kind of like a conventional nature of the body, introducing, recognizing, and the ultimate nature of the body, introducing or discovering. So, uh, conventional nature, uh, conventional nature of our body is this have to be a little bit more careful. It is not like a universal nature. If we say like an ultimate nature of our own body, it's much more universal, and that's kind of like doesn't depend the circumstances on where you are. The discovery of a conventional nature or education of a conventional nature or where you're going to invest your awareness into the conventional nature of your body, that depends to the circumstances. The reason I'm saying this is a conventional nature of your body. Sometimes where it introduced, it have a little more kind of like a more negative connotation. Sometimes introducing a conventional nature of your body have a more positive connotation. So that depends into the circumstances, which kind of challenge and which kind of states where you are. Okay. So what I'm saying is that meditation and the mindfulness of the body to be, when you're doing the conventional part, you have to be a little bit more skillful. Like for example, if individual people who have negative, strong image of your physical manifestation or whatever, mindfulness of the body, you need to introduce conventional nature of a mindfulness of the body. You need to introduce slightly differently. It should not, I think, it should not go exactly how in sutras. This gives you a little bit more, it's much more kind of like a, because in a sutra is so much the design of that education is to not to become clinging into your body, not become obsessed with your body. The education, the awareness is so much designed to individual person not to become obsessed. So for that reason, it have a little bit to pushing that attachment, clinging, it gives you a different story, slight different story, introductions of the body. Because based on a purpose that's so the again, like for example, maybe it may have a much more flavor of a first noble truth as a more flavor way it introduced based on the purpose. It's to overcoming that kind of obsessions and clinging. And um, now for some individuals, mindfulness of mindfulness of the body, maybe how much this body in this human body you can able to kind of potentials of the vehicle, potentials of this vehicle. So so what I'm saying over here is now the education of if you look at much more kind of like a so what that means in the English expression non-apologetic, unapologetic, what that means.
Saying you're sorry.
Huh? No.
You're not sorry.
So it's like more kind of direct. It's kind of like a that's the what it is. Without okay, exactly. Okay, so okay. Well, without filter, okay, non-apologetic, without filter. So if you look at teaching itself, Buddha itself teaching without filter, without non-apologetic, then I think it is a much more generally is a design for way to overcome clinging to the yoga. Now, it isn't really, that's it. Even when you have a negative image of the body, comes through clinging to the body. And so it's like a very kind of like, not really, okay, you're going through this one, so let's put this slight different way. Directly speaking, without filter, it doesn't make it. Everything's coming through clinging, positive or negative image, everything's coming through clinging. So here, mindfulness of the body is so much about clinging. So we have to kind of introduce the truth of the body itself. So mindfulness of the body is so much related with the first noble truth teaching, truth of suffering. So the minute we say suffering, like clinging is kind of like what's going on. Clinging must have some question or argument or debate, or it is not. It's destabilized. So it's the nature of suffering. It's the nature of the 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 suffering. So now over here, of course, our challenge is a clinging session, but nature introducing what is the nature? Nature when you're looking into the conventional nature, obviously it doesn't become kind of way the clinging can grow. But when you're looking into the ultimate nature, absolutely, we kind of like a destabilize the clinging mind itself. So Buddha's basically look it into the nature, look it into nature. Don't look into the demand. Don't look into the expectation. Don't look for them. Look it into the nature itself. And provide the nature, not provide for the expectation demand. Provide the answer. So mindfulness about so it's so much about, so basically when you're looking into the full mindfulness teaching, it is so much about respecting the nature, accepting the nature, not messing with the nature. And is it the nature of the education of this Four Noble Truth of full mindfulness, this model is so much way to accepting the nature. Education is not kind of like a messing and then let's see these two nature will put together what kind of education. It's almost so much about accepting and respecting the nature itself. So maybe like when you say spiritual path, it's so much like a nature. When you say nature, there is so much layers and much more going into the spiritual path. It's a nature of consciousness, nature of awareness. Okay, so I think when we're doing mindfulness meditation, I think we have to feel almost like a resetting our perception. That's feeling we have to almost like a, you have these things going on, it's not working. Let me reset. Almost like feeling like I need to reset. So for mindfulness meditation is how to reset the world that we perceive. Starting with our own self. So it's almost like a mindfulness meditation. It's almost like a resetting our perception. And we reset, but we do the same thing, then there's no purpose of resetting. When we reset, not only like the behavior, but the process, how we, like, how we perceive, so reset. And then like usually when we say reset, you just reset and you just go through the same way, isn't it? Reset, what's the meaning? Just kind of you do the same thing. But in this context, resetting the perception is redirecting. It's not like just doing the same thing. Yeah, redirecting perceptions. Redirecting in terms of here is like redirecting from, of course, we are observing certain type of the nature of anything, certain type of the nature of anything. But over here, redirecting means directing our perception to see deeper nature. Just kind of is basically, I think, not being superficial. Let's get more serious and let's get much more detailed and more deeper. That's, I think, redirecting the perceptions is a way to reset it. So it's basically, let's look at more carefully. Let's look at more carefully. Like for example, in my own, sometimes, even, okay, I go to do Dharma teachings and so on and so forth can become like a conventional distraction. Even sometimes I do with a good motivation, it can become some type of a distraction. If we look much more deeper, although it's really good, yes, with a good motivation, all of you can have good motivation once we see something. General speaking, yes, it's a positive. But if you look at much more deeper, little deeper, there's a layer of a distraction. From one perspective, that is perfect, it's a positive. But if you look a little bit deeper, sometimes I try to do that, everything is just like conventional, conventional. Even I trying to say people what I'm doing some conventional distraction. And it get in time like it's so boring. It becomes like a life becoming boring. There's no excitement. So anyway, I think anything when you look much more deep, anything, we can kill the time very easily and feel like very meaningful. But each time, if we're looking much more deeper into our awareness, consciousness, and the process and everything, then it's like, okay, particularly, end of the day, even sometime I was telling Western Dharma practitioners can, kill the time with the study, no problem. With lots of study, reading, and okay. But that's not enough. Basically, awareness of the Dharma itself is not enough. How we can digest the Dharma into the awareness is the kind of fundamental. Like so I think this is the fundamental. We not like a flood of a Dharma. Flood of a Dharma is water is generally good, but the flood of the water is not so good. So so anyway, what I'm saying over here is like kind of like a gentle rain, and all the waters just kind of like really sink into the ground and doesn't take the soil out. So I think we need to think a little bit more from that thing. So like maybe it is not so busy and loud and colorful. Sometimes it may look like a poem, but it is a really simple. How I think the fundamental, how to think. How to think. Okay. If we're so much distracted with the surface reality, then it's difficult to think, and we see lots of contradictions and so on. So that's I think the fundamental how to think. Milarepa, I think during his period of time, I think he's not so popular teacher. Not only not popular teacher, but maybe he can be like very eccentric teacher. Because another teachers, they have lots of disciples for you. Milarepa don't have too much follow. And one of his relatives told him, maybe you should be more decent person, maybe dress up, just staying naked and be more decent looking. And I think she brought some brocade to I think even he made joke about that. Then I think at the end what he told, I think that's kind of like, he told, I can do exactly like collect lots of students, I can do that. The intention is not what we so anyway, my point over here is something kind of simple and sinking. And that's, I think, is a really important as a Dharma practitioner in our life. Sometimes having complex sadhana. One time I told one of my students he wants to go to retreat, and he said, "What should you prepare?" I said, "You don't prepare. Go with what you have. Don't take any book. Just take your mind. That's the plenty book. You have all type of stories, everything. Just go by yourself. You don't have to take anything. Why take anything? You take so much and you untouch your mind. You don't take anything. So maybe there's no choice. You have to look at touch your mind and look at it. So I was telling, I don't do it. And also have a plan, a schedule, like quite busy schedule. This sadhana, do this one is like it's like a busy. I said, no, don't, it's too busy, like it's like I think you should just look your mind into where it's going, where it's coming from, what story is telling you, how long time you give your deceptions, where's the deceptions coming from. Maybe listen these things slowly more. To retreat, then you read the sadhana, and the problem is behind the sadhana, and the challenge is behind the sadhana, and you come out after the retreat, maybe you can a little bit break, but the problem is, I'm ready, come on, let's roll. So the sadhana, sometimes it's become something that the way you target and things are so different. Its target is some way, and the medicines in some way. So even when I was studying retreat, brave retreat, don't read too much different things. Brave retreat, you need to face yourself, your own sadhana. Sadhana that you're doing quite long, that sadhana you need to kind of have a negotiation with that sadhana. Facing our own self. Otherwise, you are hiding behind the fancy sadhana, behind the fancy Vedans and Dharma protectors, telling them, please take care of me. Bribe the Dharma protectors. Okay, so I think is important, like for example, so my point is not solution. Solution is like sadhana can become solution, but then after the retreat, end of the retreat, then maybe you need to extend the retreat. So therefore, what I'm saying over here is like, really, end of the day, nothing our practice should not become kind of solution. Need to become like a discovery. Discover. So in a retreat, retreat, we go with how I prepare for retreat. I think we are well prepared. We are well prepared. When you're going to retreat, yeah, we have an endless material to open, endless material. Like yeah, I think in a retreat, basically, each session, if we look at maybe even this like full mindfulness, each session looks from the full mindfulness. Mindfulness of body, mindfulness of feeling, mindfulness of mind, mindfulness of feeling. That will become really powerful. Sadhana is a full mindfulness. hour and a half, sometimes, okay, hour and a half, what I'm going to do for hour and a half. And if we come with a retreat, okay, I have to do each session 1 hour, hour and a half, or what I'm going to do in an hour and a half. Then we're trying to come to a retreat through doing things. Let's do gardening. We should not coming from the perspective of what I'm going to do. If you're coming from the perspective of what I'm going to do, then we don't need to do retreat. We're doing something. So even this model, what I'm going to do, this model needs to be something like a filling up the time, so-called sadhana, positive recitation. I mean, like they are good, but they should not become the essential. The recitation things essential through the retreat to become changed person, through the retreat to become a different person. Or then I think through the sadhana blessing, somehow suddenly you become so kind person. That's really great. But I think really like observing the nature, um, not the enlightened part of your nature. Sometimes again, we just want to go to the ultimate nature, the enlightened nature. We don't get picked the good one, and then in the retreat, everything, karma, everything. So I think like fundamentally, just basically hour and a half, if you're able to looking into the habits, and ways it goes, and then really trying to look through the nature, observing, and really responding to those habits. Yes, we people retreat. Can get a little bit distracted here. If I can bring back distraction is also, I think, is a good one way. It can bring more topic. It can bring different sadhana, and then distraction is a kind of like a foot soldier of the habit. It goes, it brings different topic, and the retreat, then you observe the nature. So I think a visual. If we able to kind of go through that approach of educational journey, hopefully, general speaking, of course, as an individual person, maybe we become much more deeper, kind of deeper nature of the person. Person that's not overly naturally caught into the society's dealing. Something becomes so-called individuality. Individual. I think that can happen once we observe much more deeply. And what that you are functioning, you are interacting based on your own nature, but not that nature that demanded by society. It becomes really individual. Your own calm, your own true kind of like nature. And that is the unique in the what is changed. Fearlessness and grounded. So this is, I think, the mainly Buddha's teaching. When you say nature, 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 this language of nature, it's not so much providing. It's not about providing. It's not about like a kind of business model. And kind of like a shining yourself calmly to who you are. And there is some kind of authenticness of your soul. And that becomes unique and powerful. You know? So that's, I think, the full mindfulness or full noble truth is an education of educating. Like really to become shining your own fundamental karmically who you are. Now, again, we are as an interdependent reality. So, of course, we are influenced, but I think over here, we're trying to bring in some kind of interdependent reality and individuality as a meeting interdependent realities, not overshadowing the individuality. And individuality is not trying to ignoring the whole different of the interdependent reality. So basically, you know, so I think this is one thing that's when we are overly concerned, overly kind of like pay attention, there's a tendency of losing individuality. So again, uh, uh, I just went all over. I went all over. All over. Anyway, just fundamentally, I want to see something that we can do now. We can make a difference for tomorrow, better way of seeing our life, and some kind of transformation. So what I'm saying over here is maybe the full mindfulness is a kind of like path to rediscovering of individuality, discovering the nature of your mind, nature of your own body, not because of the interdependent reality what is demanded. Okay. Okay. So this model, full mindfulness model, this is one of the kind of popular model, I think. I think ancient time also mindfulness have a period of time becoming very popular, like today's one time in the early time at the Zen become so popular. Zen garden, Zen petting, Zen coffee, everything. Now then the mindfulness, the same thing. And I think also for mindfulness, like for example, like a Shantideva in his wisdom chapter, Bodhisattva's wisdom chapter, and a meditation into the emptiness of the phenomenon. And he took this full mindfulness model to the emptiness of the phenomenon, and beautifully. And now in in the Pali tradition, I think I'm not so much very familiar, but I think practice of the full mindfulness, obviously the background is rooted in the full mindfulness. And I will say, particularly in a full mindfulness, is kind of like mm, the method, this model of full mindfulness is kind of like a way to way to gain healthy sense of self. Let me put it. Like, okay, this is what it's trying to do. As this model for mindfulness exercise is trying to bring in, self-image or self-identity, some kind of like a much more healthy way to see it. I think you know, the point over here is Buddha, when he's teaching these things, he is responding what's going on into the society. The teaching is so much is one is a different, like for example, like a different teachers. Sometimes they get this kind of like in Tibetan we have this kind of Hanan, pure vision, sort of this whole vision. And I think Native American tradition, there's a vision seeking, this is go someplace. Huh? Vision quest. Okay. I think we have a plenty vision. Okay. Anyway, so Buddha's teaching, I think what we have to look at is what is the society challenge before we talk for mindfulness? What is the community challenge? What is the society challenge? I think challenge pretty much same thing. What early time people which have a challenge with the body, today we have all the challenge with the body. Mismanaging of our feeling in the previous our human evolution time and what's happening mismanaging our feeling today is pretty much same thing. So it is a society problem, individual problem, and Buddha's guideline. And we have to see for mindfulness is something that there is an issue into the society, and the teaching was Buddha's wisdom. Okay, you need to look at from these things. So we need to see really is kind of like a medicine. We have some kind of challenge arise due to the constant condition. Issue becomes kind of stuck, brought to Buddha. Okay, how are you going to? Buddha's a miracle? No, because you have to go through this process. You didn't do some kind of mantra and throwing something rise and say, okay, that's it. Okay, this model, you need to educate. You need to get education. If we don't educate it, then we cannot solve the problem. And the same thing like education, educating. So basically this problem happening because lack of awareness. So it's lots of educational model. So Buddha's the deeper the nature was introduced, it's a getter closer to our education of the heart. Education becomes much more kind of solution. Okay, this problem, so we give solution, then it becomes much more surface education. It's more solution. So I think so I think we need to kind of take it for mindfulness, or again, this model to really to our own personal problem, something that we're getting lots of a challenge, habit. I think there's lots of we can take that wisdom and apply in a friendship setting, community setting, individual as a person. Anything that we face, I think mindfulness might have lots of, it can give us lots of strength. If we kind of look in the results from here, okay, I can send some prayer requests, plus I will take for mindfulness model to way to restore my strength, to restore the, the peace and happiness. So I would say like an educational model, looking into And it's just basically if you look at the four mindfulness, it goes from your body, from the external, then it goes to a little bit more internal feeling, then it's go more further internally, and then it covers all universe. So it's the system is not just like a one pinpointed and just only, it have a layers. Universal for this universe. Okay, good. Okay, so I think I would say like I will give you homework how you apply the four mindfulness into any challenge that you faced. If there's a space for that four mind, or like four mindfulness can be applied for so many things. So anyway, my point over here is fundamental in the education, in the particular education of the heart, is the soul is trying to introduce the nature, not solution. Introducing the nature, introduce what is the nature. Okay. So I'm not necessarily solutions are the bad, solutions are good. We need it, we as a human being, we need a solution. But if we see the solution is the ultimate kind of evolution, way we evolve is constantly, today's civilization, like we are a civilization period of chat GPT, civilization period time. So it is a solution. It is even ChatGPT, I don't know entire is, but it's entire mechanism looks like a solution driven rather than okay. ChatGPT is the fit mindfulness. Just joking. I don't know what it stands for, ChatGPT.
Sounds like you want for
Okay.
So how do you do your sadhana with integrating?
Okay.
It's like when you're doing purification practice.
No, like for example, if you're doing like a higher Vedanta sadhana, there's a like meditation of emptiness. Any type of meditation of emptiness, that section becomes really, kind of like describing the nature. Then the rest of the part of the commitment and so on and so forth, yes. But I think the ingredient element of any sadhana at the beginning there's this nature of yourself and nature of all from same. So that's, I think, yes, if we start our solution based on addressing the nature, I think it's really good. Right now is nature is absolutely not in the lab, is a solution driven. That's what I'm saying, like artificial intelligence, ChatGPT. And yes, so my question is,
someone is doing sadhana and then it says like to see like entire like world as like your land and what's up. It's kind of like contradicting to mindfulness because we're kind of like we don't have like this vision and kind of like it's a little bit like faking a little bit like pretending. So how to combine both, because we are kind of like imagining like external universe and things is pure without really it's not like out of our experience. We can intellectually analyze it and based on teachings come to conclusion that it's like this, but as human beings we still have like ego and protect,
Exactly.
protect all this stuff, and it's a kind of like contradicting a little between.
Yes. Now, I think let me put this way. You can look from this window, you can look from this window, you can look from different windows. You can go upstream. Same thing. You can look for the same object from different windows. And you might see slight difference. You're looking at the same person from same spot, same direction, but only difference is a slight different window, the angle. So when we're doing sadhana and trying to see everything as it's divine, we need to change the lens. You are changing the lens, different lens. You're taking different lens. And from that different lens, at the beginning, you're supposed to see everything different. When you get this really authentic that lens, then you will everything is different. But the contradiction comes from that you haven't changed the lens, you're taking the same lens and trying to look in, yes, because that lens don't have the capability to see the divine, and you're trying to see as a divine, and that's happening, and you're saying, so really the lens. So now the lens is okay. How we make that lens? How I can create? Right now, I have one lens. I'm using that lens. So, like any sadhana, like a generation state, meditation of emptiness is the changing lens. So basically, we can say conventional reality lens and ultimate truth lens. So, in a generation stage, you're saying like conventional reality lens, this like you need to change that lens. You need to put back, then you have to put down another lens through the meditation of empty. From that lens, then yes, the core depends obviously where the lens was made it. the quality of the lens makes the perceptions of a divine reality. So it is then not only reality, when you're looking from that lens, what appears into that lens is not the surface reality of the universe. You're going to see much more the depth, the primordial nature of the reality, the kind of appear into that. It is not like what you call that virtual reality. It is what you see, what you see, what it is, because so that lens, when you're changing, it not necessarily conventional reality doesn't become a part of the blind spot, but it doesn't become the main focus of that lens. It becomes much more different. So it is how we see everything as mindfulness, exactly how far we can see our own self, how far the medicine can go inside our mind, how far the perception of self will go. So that's the whole thing. I think is the more deeper the perceptions of the self, there's more divine, and more perceptions go deeper into the phenomenon. There's more divine. So I think it's the whole practice is something. This is a surface reality, and this is a more primordial reality. So once we're trying to see the world from the primordial reality, the noise of the conventional doesn't become too big deal. So that's, I think, the main thing that any sadhana, meditating the emptiness. Meditating the emptiness is ultimately message of the emptiness is cleaning the lens. There's one time, where is that in California? Somebody had this big telescope, and we're looking. I think it's showing some planet, Jupiter or some planets. It's something he's showing. But at the same time, this is something we see like one animal. and he said, "You're not supposed to be there." So, but he didn't clean the lens. The next person, I think that next person also might see something over there moving in that time. Then the lens is small, but he didn't clean. But anyway, I think that meditation of emptiness is we need to see as a changing a lens or cleansing the lens of a consciousness. Sometimes we introduce as like a dissolving this something you are kind of taking care out there. No, it's you're taking care out here, dissolving something over here. So this is a much more so yes, that's I think the whole education of a Four Noble Truths, Buddha's education, is modeled as a saying like see the fundamental nature. Like really trying to connect through the primordial nature. Like so that's it is not necessarily immediately it doesn't give some kind of like a satisfaction because if you go with a solution it gives an immediate gratification and satisfaction. But again here so I think it looks like a whole training. Like if you go to retreat, maybe the main training is how to clean the lens of a consciousness. Maybe that should be like, okay, without this lens, without this healthy perception, how I'm going to drive in my life to enlightenment. There's lots of twists and karmic twists and turnings. So I think that's basically again, sometimes when we're doing sadhana and accumulation feels good, definitely. And there's a definitely merit accumulation. Yes. I'm not saying now go, it just becoming strange now. He's saying like don't do sadhana. I'm not against sadhana. I have to do myself lots of sadhana. But I think what I'm saying is like what your Western expression, don't get distracted with the finger. Or, yeah,
That's confused.
Yeah. So I think it looks like we're supposed to focus on the moon, but we got distracted. Where's the finger is pointing? Don't lose.
No, it's the forest or the tree. You don't see the forest.
Forest, yeah, forest. Don't lose the forest for the tree. Yeah, that's a good one. Okay, so my point over here is of course, the growth of our personal practice. Of course, faith and devotion is the one vehicle that's a very powerful and based even people do based on faith and devotion, the commitment, and obviously yes, fundamental merit and that things, but as a practice, can we make a progress more further, more deeply? So for that reason, we have to kind of like sadhana demands everything to see as a divine. Then like how we going to see that divine? I think like sadhana should take as an educational rather than kind. Sadhana, if you read your own school book every morning, textbook, it's kind of strange, but it is something commitment as the word commitment really is I think is unfortunate. It's a commitment becomes kind of chore. guideline maybe would be better than my daily guideline. I'm trying to going through my own daily guidelines. Then I'm going, huh?
Daily devotion.
Daily devotion or daily guidelines. I'm going to go through my own daily, kind of guidelines. And sadhana is like basically, it's about our perceptions and kind of like immediately it demands to changing the lens immediately. So like, to become as a sadhana recommends the way we live our life. And then first thing is that's that meditation of emptiness. So like basically, when we realize emptiness directly, or when we are not realizing emptiness directly, we will stay into the same world. We will interact into the same world, but slight differently. It's just basically, once you realize emptiness directly, we don't have a reserved pure land Airbnb. We don't have that. It's just the same Airbnb back to samsara. And basically, samsara is the same place when you're looking from the conventional lens, and that becomes samsara. In the same place when you're looking from the ultimate lenses, this becomes nirvana. So the same place, Seattle, same Portland, the lens difference. Okay, so
the problem back here and just doing all these things, we have to look at that too. And that's how it's seen when
no, just right. You're right. Like a habit, looking for the habit. I think it's not necessary to dig the past. It's just really how to minimize the present and the gradual minimization of the habit through observation of the nature, not by solution. The methodology. I think the key thing is the methodology. You can, which kind of method we're going to use it to this challenge. And the Four Mindfulness and the Four Noble Truth model, education model, is basically look into it, bring the nature in the forefront, observation of the nature into the forefront, not so much the function and the wisdom. Bring the nature first, nature, and that forefront change our own worldview. I mean, change in terms, it kind of shifts the worldview itself. It's just kind of like wait a minute, wait a minute, let me look at it. And I think resetting is through the observation of nature and wait a minute, and then you kind of compassionate way to kind of moving forward, and much more mindfulness way of moving forward, rather than this very kind of noisy and loud solution driven. Sure.
So, what is the kind of like this? I see like two functions. Like one would be kind of like mindfulness of like our like present state of mind. The second one would be generation, some sort of like habit like for future. This is like I think like in sadhana there's like when I first like started to be interested in meditation, I was like, why in the world like Tibetans like put all these like useless like prayers, like there's like kind of like 50 pages of like prayers, and then there is like this one page of meditation. It's so inefficient. Now after all these years, I see that actually there is a method in this thing that it's like habit, like for the future, like to kind of like programming, like subconscious, like so
Yes.
kind of like refer to this thing that I see like basically like one function of mindfulness would be like better like understand or like the present moment, but the second would be like let's like get into this like, similar situation in the future, you like it's like some sort of like autopilot instead of like going through like past habits, kind of it's more like healthy habits.
Mhm. Mhm. So again, are we replacing the negative habit with healthy habit? Now, again, of course, in sadhana, of course, in sadhana, as you're saying, that's true. Like this kind of like a mind to kind of habituating our positive expression and compassion and so forth. That's also very true. But usually, mindfulness practice is a replacing negativity habit through the kind of positive habit. I doubt. I doubt is mindfulness is not so much like it's just saying like it's just like an education, looking into nature. It's not kind of like a replacing, but a reintroducing. Like okay, the habit create one story, and basically that perception is stuck with a conventional nature. And it is a quick, is immediate, and it's kind of like energizing. So mind get kind of habit kind of get into that. But the mindfulness is just like a introducing. Hey, look at it. What is the nature itself? It's just to kind of like redirecting the awareness into the deeper nature of the self and phenomenon, but not necessarily bringing some another positive reinforcement. Yeah, go ahead.
Say breathe the you are right, you're calling. So something is like here, and you say to yourself, let's see the real nature like impermanent, and that's automatically give you some sense, and you change your mindset.
Yeah, like for example, when an argument happening, you're painting picture individually, both way, you're painting picture in different negatively, which is not really nature of the picture. So I think when you look at the mind is like an artist. It just kind of paints perfect picture what you want it. So like it's basically mindfulness is observing the process of a picture that painting to convince you. And really what it's doing, the mind, not necessarily immediately painting the new picture, but the kind of pausing the picture that it's a painting. You're not trying to buy it. The mindfulness will be trying to pause the habit of the picture painting. It's a painting very scary. It's painting. If we not mindfulness, then you buy that picture, and then whole things kind of fall apart. So not necessarily immediately trying to see the primordial nature, but is trying to pause that what is a painting. So that's the key thing when there's an argument happening immediately, you're painting. And another was, it depends how much the painting's going, the painters paint much more effective, and then there's a big crash. So collaborated painting. It's like this is a, you know, so in such a case, mindfulness is just kind of like observing, and I think basically you are kind of looking from up, kind of observing, seeing 360, and you feel like, okay, it's compassion. It's like, you know, I'm got a little bit caught, you got a little bit caught, like, like there's more compassionate, opportunity than this kind of wrathful, scary one. So mindfulness is just basically pause and observe. Whoa, where I'm going and where we are going, it's just kind of like mindfulness is just kind of, instead of a narrow vision, to do a little bit more pause and to see much more deeper. So it's when we have an argument with a negative emotion, it's just boom, you get into that tunnel, you get that into the tunnel, blind spot, seeing you. So it's like it's like the same thing, like when people say relax, then everybody take a deep breath, trying to opening up our chest, opening. So it's the same thing. So like not necessarily so over here, not necessarily trying to see the primordial nature, but trying to pause what the nature is trying to paint. So slowly, then we have like a more opportunity when we have a space, trying to see. It is not, whatever situation. Usually we say that's who that are. That's who I am. That's who you are, and that's who I am. Sometimes I feel like, sometimes I do that, and I feel like I did based on laziness. Like that's who I am, because then I don't want to work. Just laziness. I think like, and you don't want to, progress or change, so you justify and say that's who I am. That's like a legal term. Just saying justify. That's who I am. So I think and then I think, basically, compassion meditation is not to ignore the negative habit of a sentient being, but the forefront vision of a sentient being is not trying to looking for the negative, looking to the primordial nature. So compassion mind do seize negative habit. But instead of reaction, it deepening compassion, because it had in the forefront the primordial nature. So it's really to seize, for example, we so-called it is intentional, but in a reality, it's like it is a kind of without control. It is controlled by the affliction. It's controlled by the habit. It is not the person, the habit. So anyway, my point over here is, I think the lens that's in the society and overall what we're using is not the primordial nature to see individual, but we're looking very conditional, specific. That's what I think like which really makes it shapes the society structure, it shapes the whole thing. At the same time, it also creates lots of uneven and difficulty. So like we never had this kind of like I think the Buddha's main education of wisdom is see the true nature, and they can be one piece. I think see the true nature of ourselves and another living being, and when rest of the situation is none of them is serious. If we see the world from the true nature of existence, all the karmic situation wasn't happening, none of them are serious. Everything becomes so serious. Everything becomes so serious. The problem is that everything becomes so serious and tense because the lens that we're looking into it is so basically what I'm saying over here is that from my point of view, the full mindfulness is fundamentally basically how to see yourself and how to see the universe. The first three mindfulness, how to see yourself. The fourth mindfulness, how you see the universe. Okay, and in a simple way, saying is it is basically demanding what is not so much demanding what you see, how you see it is the main issue over here. How you see it does need to be transformed and upgraded. And sometimes I think what's happened is when we do meditate and these things, there's so much like very dualistic, something trying to fix here. When doing everything has to kind of like resetting, redirecting, cleansing, everything has to be in the mind itself. It's not so much like what mind is seeing, where the mind is seeing. So I think basically we feel I'm matured, I'm grown up, I'm smart, I'm intelligent, I know what I'm doing. But this full mindfulness, full noble truth education, yes, that's wonderful, but it says you are still in first grade, first blooming, or something. It says this so-called consciousness, the maturity, sometimes in the philosophical text, until we don't realize emptiness directly, it says that everybody's childish. It makes this kind of expression, childish. Only you become mature, grown up, when you realize emptiness directly. And there is a good message for saying that. There is a really powerful message. Maturity is maturing your awareness. And this same model that we just see this. So anyway, I think it's interesting, education of the mind, understanding the mind, and if somebody tells, my mind is not grown enough, I'm my mind is fully. I'm PhD. I'm this and that. I think I saw. I don't know. It's really not. Now, these days you're trying to look your brain connect to the computer or whatever. So, by thinking, you're connected with the whole internet, your brain. So, you ask any question, that person can connect naturally. So it's knowledge point of view something. But that doesn't help anything. Okay, you become like a Google, so what? yeah, there will be but it's all effort is trying to expand. It's this no emphasis like how we can go much more deeper and looking, and I think the physics and these are interesting. They must look more deeper. So anyway, my point over here is that basically, generally, in the Buddhism, when you say consciousness, gross consciousness, subtle consciousness, extreme subtle consciousness, and if we say consciousness, right now, maybe the whole consciousness that we have maybe is only functioning 20%. The rest of the consciousness awareness is kind of like a non-function. And I think the meditation of emptiness is almost saying that nature, 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 but that's kind of reference. But fundamentally, I think experience of emptiness might give us perfect transition from this grossest mind to so-called subtle mind. What is a subtle mind? I think the subtle mind, I think it doesn't function into the time, in space, in mathematical, in logic, in reason, if a different model of a way of experiencing reality. Yes.
It's there. In subtle mind, it's there.
It's there, absolutely.
So that you are, I don't say goal, but that's part of the things you're looking for.
It is a kind of buried underneath so much habit. It just needs to kind of clarify.
So everything is there. How is it?
Absolutely.
So that's what you dig.
Yes.
So you believe that you have it. So good things.
Absolutely.
In your mind.
Even like pets and small pets, and they also have that subtle. Not only we human being, but anybody who have a consciousness.
Okay.
Now this is a complicated point. Yeah, I like to say yes, but my knowledge explanation doesn't really fits. Yeah, 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 absolutely. Yeah, yeah, it's amazing. The plants are amazing, but still, like a consciousness. This is a. Yeah. Now the life, sometimes when you say life, how you define life depends, like like what the consciousness is. Main thing is, you know, okay, if we say a simple method, how we can study consciousness, how we can know about knowing concept of consciousness. I think, like, for example, today's like this method of study of dream, and particularly in study of people who does the anesthesia. These people, like, where the people's mind going when you're doing these kind of procedures. And there's a lot of, I think, knowledge trying to, things coming. But again, this kind of transition from awake to sleep, sleep to dream. And now this kind of medical like there's our things go many different directions and downs. So I think there's a one monk early time when I was in India, and people do divination for him and ask questions for him. But when you ask question for him, he doesn't does this kind of dives throwing sleep. He does in a dream. So if you're urgent, he is not so helpful. You ask question, and after 12 hours later, only answer comes. Or he how to sleep. That's known for him. I think there's one typical monastery this monastery, and I heard this monastery there's lots of this kind of like a mystic training for the people go through this kind, and he's from this monastery. And people just ask this kind of divination question. I have to say, okay, I'll give you tomorrow. And then they go here and just sleep. And some people use, brings this kind of like a sensitiveness into them. Not all about everything, not necessary to answer through this grosser mind and this logic and mathematical mind. Don't have to. It's not that only. So basically, it's subtle mind, concept of a subtle mind. So basically, I think different model way of function of awareness. I think logic and mathematics doesn't work. It's a whole different way of reading a reality. And maybe for us, it doesn't make, when we're so familiar with this kind of way, one model, this function into very mathematical and logic and reason, yeah, we thought that's it. If that's when we cross out of that box, we doesn't accept. But I think the subtle mind might have a different model, different way of. And one thing I think the more the mind is subtle, the quality of a concentration is a given naturally. So lots of I think practitioners they say, okay, this when we're using this grossest mind, which have a very weak concentration, and basically for short temporarily, yes, but this is not a long solution. You have to, like same thing, like you have a car, it's a braking, you drive here and there a little bit, but soon I have to change because this is not reliable. It's almost same for practitioner. This grossest mind is not really reliable because it's so weak concentration. So long-term practitioners, they say, I need to get something stable concentration. Otherwise, there's no way to make a progress. So is this something like that? I think this is we need to painful acknowledgement that we have to accept. So-called, and this my mind, intelligent, Gishiharampa, blah, 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 whatever doctor or whatever they say, is still unreliable to spiritual journey. Is a byproduct, very weak concentration. So, basically, to long-term, something that Shine meditation and so on and so forth. When you say looking in the Lam Shine meditation, they are designed. This model is a design for this gross. But again, it have to start somewhere. But I think still the meditation of the emptiness in Shine meditation gives us perfect transition, perfect access to settlement, so-called settlement, whatever you're going to call it. Basically, quality of memory is infinite and very stable concentration. And that's I think the whole thing is trying to, hey, we have this treasure that if we're able to access as an individual. So if we feel so much perfect with this mind, grossest mind, this mind that we have so-called matured and analyzing and all that things, this is unsustainable kind of depending into something, a non-reliable mind. This is the message. I think we like it, but like sometimes like it's disappointing, really, and now I have to go. But I think this is the key thing: is by nature it is weak into particularly in the concentration area. But then again, the things is like that because when we train in concentration into this grossest mind, it's only good for one thing, and when it's go out of that, it gets so chaos. This is I think what I like. For example, one friend, such a good concentration in computer, can stay 10 hours, 12 hours concentrate. And not video gaming, I'm not saying it's not video, it's doing some kind of general work, but absorbs into that. Then move out from there, and then like all of chaos. So even the grossest mind, we can train into really intensive concentration, but it becomes really specific and individual. Even worst case, when you get out from there, it becomes destabilized everything. So, so Shine mind is something that's something much more pervasive, overall health of rather than one specific, kind of like, maybe like a
Isn't that the same? How did you?
yes. No, I mean, I think, again, you can say, like, what is the difference between the obsess and concentration? Obsess,
Obsession.
obsession and concentration. Uh, uh, the real kind of like, what is Shine trying to reach you? Basically, flexibility. Obsession don't have flexibility. But in a training, as a training ground, yes, you can have a breath and so on and so forth. But in the result is looking the state of awareness, more flexibility. In the Shine, in the kind of like the marketing of a Shine, in the product, they will say like flexibility of a mind and flexibility of the body. Kind of like a lucid translation. But if I do literal translation, physical suppleness and the mental suppleness. Suppleness. What that means, suppleness. Flexibility, suppleness. Yes. Yeah. Suppleness. So flexibility. Yeah. So something that's the like basically.
Through practice.
Yeah.
You don't get supplements.
Yeah. In the result of a Shine. In the result, there is like a last product. How they're looking, Shine is a flexibility of your awareness and flexibility of your physical suppleness and the mental suppleness. So flexibility is basically what that means is obviously obsession is never becomes flexibility. Like in a computer, when that's pretty much obsessed. Is a concentration some level of concentration? Yes. But concentration is kind of nurtured through the obsession. So Shine mind is something that free of obsession. So basically, in the Shine training, the challenge is in Shine. So what's the challenge? Challenge is basically abide in the object without attachment. So that's usually it's almost saying like trying to grab the tree branch without your finger, something like that. Okay, so it sounds something like that, but that's the training. That's the training in the Shine, how you can focus without attachment, how you can focus without force.
Without repeating.
Yeah, without force and without clinging. So, of course, at the beginning, we can fall left and right, left and right, left and right. Slowly, 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 we kind of let go. Slowly, slowly let go, and that creating the focus through freedom. Yeah, that's opens up. So real training, if you ask like what is the challenge? What is the game? Game is focus without clinging. Okay. Okay, that's so what's happened? I have no idea. Yes, yes,
One more question.
yes.
So in this context, so what is conceptual mind? It's like Buddha, like there is this quote by Buddha that it's better to spend a moment in non-conceptual meditation than save life of all sentient beings in the universe. So what is this non-conceptual?
Non-conceptual. I think the English word conceptual, non-conceptual looks like here more kind of head kind of things, non-concept. But Tibetan word number is more than that. It is includes your, like basically. Let me put it simple. There's a two layers, non-conceptual. One is non-conceptual of non-conceptual of fabrication of intrinsicness of reality. Okay, I'm making too complicated. Okay, let me make it basically non-conceptual means in the one layer like a non-viewing as an intrinsic reality. Okay, that's the one layer. And second layer, non-conceptual, is just a non-destruction. So benefiting sentient being without the distraction and without intrinsic view, is the basically long-term solution way to benefit a sentient being. If you can have a non-distracted mind, but you have an intrinsic view, then it limits. Okay, so that's I think the non-conceptual over here is basically, it's not about not thinking. It is about healthy thinking. It's not about non-perceptions having pure perception. So having true pure perception, so although it use the word non-conceptual, it's like more have negative, but what is not telling direct word is a pure perception. So that's the way to then through this vision and benefit essentially. Yeah, non-conceptual is I'm not sure is a right. I'm not sure what another solution for translation, but I think the word conceptual all the time in English word conceptual or non-conceptual somehow over there, which also includes here in the heart, so non-conceptual. Okay. Thank you so much. But I don't know what's happened. We went all over. Please, you make your own conclusion. Yes, that's good. Okay, great. Yes, that's great. Okay, that's great. So I don't know what I talk a little bit about the Buddha's model of education. That's the way we started. Okay.